doing that.
Alright. That is ruining my day. Today we got the ghosts of Dr. Seuss, Nathaniel Hawthorne, and John Hersey. Nathaniel, when and where were you born?
I was born in Salem, Massachusetts, 1804, July 4th.
Were you married to a witch?
No.
Doctor, when and where were you born?
I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, March 2nd, 1904.
Where did you attend medical school, doctor?
That's classified information.
John, when and where were you born?
China on June 17th, 1914.
I don't understand why your name is John. Nathaniel, how did you become an author?
In 1825 to 1837, I went through a series of years where I isolated myself from families and friends, and I decided to start writing books. And that's how I came up.
Did you isolate yourself because you were scared of witches?
Some may say that, but no, I didn't.
Doctor, how did you become an author?
Well, I was always interested in writing. As a kid, my mother always used to read stories to me that always rhymed, and I found that interesting. So I pretty much grew up loving to write and to draw.
John, how did you become an author?
As a child, I just really enjoyed reading and writing, and then as I grew up, I started writing my own stories, and then I internship for Time Magazine in the U.S., and that's what really ballooned my writing.
Good analogy, John. Nathaniel, what was your childhood like? A lot of witches?
What was that?
A lot of witches?
No, but I grew up in Salem, Massachusetts during the time with Puritans mainly around, and I grew up having to be really religious, and I ended up hating Puritanism, and yeah.
Is that a word?
How about you, doctor?
Yeah.
How about you, doctor? What was your childhood like?
I was born to German immigrants, and so we kind of start from scratch, and they showed me that it takes hard work and dedication to get where you want to be. They sold alcohol, and it kind of during the 1900s, it was kind of rough times with that because there was prohibition of alcohol, so we had to find something else to get money, but my childhood was pretty good, other than the fact that we had to find new jobs.
How about you, John?
Chinese and other stuff. Yeah. Growing up in China was fun, experiencing the different ways that they live.
Do you speak Chinese, John?
No, I don't.
You think you would know Chinese? Nathaniel, what was your favorite book you wrote and why?
My favorite book I wrote was The Scarlet Letter, and I wrote it and it described my life and described what happened in my life and people I came across, and people like that, hypocrites and a lot of religious people that.
Why is it your favorite book?
Because Scarlet Letter is my favorite book because it took me the most time to write and gave me the most success after writing.
A lot of English students don't like you, Daniel. Doctor, what was your favorite book you wrote?
Oh, The Places You'll Go. I find it really inspirational, and it helps my readers. It helps to motivate my readers, and I just find it really inspirational.
I like green eggs again. John, what was your favorite book you wrote and why?
Probably Hiroshima, because it showed the hardships that the bomb brought on those people who survived, and just all the.
Why not Nagasaki?
I didn't write a book about Nagasaki, so.
Nathaniel, who was your audience intended to be and why?
My audience was intended to be people growing up having to deal with religious people that didn't like the religion that they were growing up into, and also people that were. My stories described hypocrisy through people's telling stories, as in daily life, how people are hypocrites.
Doctor, who is your audience?
My audience was children. I believe that setting the foundation of the youth is very important. It all starts with the youth, and you have to build up the youth for the next generation, to be successful.
By rhyming?
By rhyming, there's a lot of hidden meaning in my books that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, because they're children. John, who is your audience intended to be and why?
Basically everyone, just letting people know about the bomb, because a lot of people don't really know what happened afterwards. They just know that we dropped it and it ended the war. So yeah, it's very long.
So was it printed in every language for everybody to understand?
No, only a few.
Right. Nathaniel, what inspired you the most to become an author?
What inspired me most to become an author was when I was isolated from 1825 to 1837, where I just sat by myself in my room.
When you were hiding from witches?
Yep. Yeah. And I wrote a lot of books. The Scarlet Letter was my most successful, and what I liked the most.
Doctor, what inspired you the most to become an author?
My parents, and just my life experiences. I just felt that I needed to set a foundation for the youth, and I can do that through children's books.
John, what inspired you the most to become an author?
John F. Kennedy really inspired me when in one of his speeches he talked about like pursuing your goals and stuff, and that just really helped me to become a writer and go after it.
Is that what you named John?
Maybe.
Nathaniel, through your many years of experience, what is your philosophy on life?
My philosophy of life is disdain for Puritanism, because I overall hated growing up in that lifestyle, and also hatred of hypocrisy. People that are hypocrites tend to annoy me very much.
As a Puritan, I'm offended by your comments. Doctor, through your many years of experience, what is your philosophy of life?
My philosophy of life revolves around the beliefs and the power and uniqueness of the individual, positive thinking, and the perseverance to achieve personal goals.
John, through your many years of experience, what is your philosophy of life?
Just to show people the atrocities of war and the hardships that it brings along, because most people don't really understand war until they experience it.
Nathaniel, what makes your book still relevant today?
My books are relevant today because it deals with a lot of clashes in religion through a lot of people, and also like schools nowadays, kids, everybody's mainly hypocrites. Like they judge other people, and they'll go get back and do same things that they judge people for.
I think a lot of students disagree that your books are still relevant.
Yeah.
Doctor, what makes your book still relevant today?
My books are still relevant today because I feel that every child in any generation can relate to and be nurtured by the books that I read, or the books that I've written. You can build off, their morals can be built off the books that I've written, and I feel that every child can relate to it.
John, what makes your book still relevant today?
Difficult question. I don't find them really that relevant today, but back then they were, because now a lot of people know about war based on movies and stuff, but back then no one really had a perspective about what war was.
So your books are irrelevant, just like this project.
I think his books are pretty relevant because there are nukes today, and it shows that if they drop a nuke now, they could affect the whole entire world in a detrimental manner.
Thank you, Doctor.
His books are
Atomic bomb. Please don't speak out of
any
turn,
bomb.
Doctor.
Like, there's nukes, so it's It's good that you wrote about that. I'm complimenting you,
Alright.
John.
You weren't addressed, Doctor.
I'm just trying to.
Nathaniel, what event in your life impacted you the most?
The events in my life are growing up in Salem and also being isolated for years. It impacted me to write stories about, reflect on my life, or write stories about my philosophies of disdain for Puritanism and hatred of hypocrisy.
Did witnessing witchcraft impact you in any way?
It did a little bit.
Doctor,
Thank you.
Doctor, what event in your life impacted you the most?
There are multiple, like with the Cold War and me getting fired, or not fired, but fired from my editing job. But the one that stuck out to me the most was when I got my first book denied 27 times. It showed me that I am perseverant and that if I believe in myself, I can accomplish anything. 27 times.
Wow.
How would you give him that?
I know. Most people would, but not me.
John, what event in your life impacted you the most?
When I journeyed into the war zone, like as a journalist, I just stayed back behind the lines, but really just saw war firsthand with my own eyes. It like kind of changed me because it's different than the movies now, because movies it's kind of just the same thing, just people dying, gory stuff, but it changes you when you actually see it firsthand. That's something I'll never forget.
Me either, bro. This concludes our show.
Alright.